Welcome you to this edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling, and I'm glad to be with you today. We are back for another season as we welcome in this year 2017. Today on the program, we're dedicating the entire show to shine the spotlight on a very historic, long-standing organization here in the United States. It is the Prince Hall Masons. Now, the last time we did a spotlight on the Prince Hall Masons, I had the Deputy Grand Master with me. Well, that gentleman is back again, only now he's been elevated. He is the Grand Master. He is the 103rd Most Worshipful Grand Master. We'll be talking with him as well as with the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, who is out of the Harrisburg area. Stay along with us for the ride. We'll be back in a moment. And we welcome you. If you just turned your television set on, this is News You Can Use, and I'm your host, Thera Martin Milling. Today on the program, we're dedicating the whole show to really shining the spotlight on the work of the Prince Hall Masons of Pennsylvania. We have with us today our Grand Master, our most worshipful Grand Master, Malcolm E. Harris. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I'm honored to have you.
And thank you for having me today, too, Thera.
Yes, sir. And also with you, we have the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden out of the Harrisburg area, Paul A. Hibner. Thank you for being here as well.
It's my pleasure, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's start with the history again. And yes, we did a story about a year or so ago with you. But for those who didn't catch that story, give us a little brief background on Prince Hall Masons.
Well, I would like to start with Prince Hall Masons. We're celebrating, or we have just celebrated, over 200 years of existence in Pennsylvania. It was in 1815 that Reverend Prince Hall met with Reverend Absalom Jones and Reverend Richard Allen. And between them, they started a lodge, and later it became the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, which gave us, like I said, 200 years in our community that we were there doing leadership, providing leadership for our community and a lot of the different activities and, that was going on in the community. As we have been involved from that till this, 200 years later, we are now just as active as we were then in our community. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I like about being a Mason is the fact that we're a charitable organization. We do look after the youth. We also for aging and also for any social event or activity that's in our community we're involved in. And most people really don't see the Prince Hall Masons as Masons simply because we are involved as private citizens as well in a lot of the organizations that are also operating in our community. But I like to shine the light on Prince Hall Masons because of the fact that I think that out of the 200 years, and as I said before, we've been a leader in our community. A lot of the judges and a lot of the political people that we have and all are Masons. A lot of them have come in and been a part of our organization. Our organization is built on biblical principles, although some people think that we are a cult or that we may be a religion, but we're not. We believe in God. In order to be a Mason, you have to believe in God. You can't be an atheist. So we have biblical principles that we are governed by. And what I think it said that we take good men and make them better. And my question is, okay, how do we do that? Well, we use the symbols of the operative Mason. We use it more speculatively. And we look at those symbols as applying to our lives and our conduct and our character, which allows people to see the best of us when we come out. And we hold pretty close to those things, and we hold our brothers accountable to them as well.
Now, I know that you started in number 58.
Yes.
Which is not in Philadelphia proper, it's in the suburban area.
It's in Chester.
Chester, Chester, PA.
Chester,
and I need to get Mr. Paul into the conversation here. You've been a Mason a long time?
Over 30 years.
Wow, yes, sir. And where did you get your start in the Masonry?
My start was actually in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, just maybe 25, 30 miles from Harrisburg at the Lee Torch Star Lodge number 18 in Carlisle.
So now, both of you, did you have fathers or grandfathers who were Masons? Like, I've always believed or been told that if you don't have that blood connection with somebody who's already in, you're not getting in.
No, as a matter of fact, a friend of mine was joining and asked me about it and gave me an application. I thought, well, I may as well try it. You know, I think when my grandfather had mentioned to me once that, you know, you should be a traveling man. I know that was my experience. I'm not sure what Paul's experience was. And I didn't have a bloodline or anything of that nature coming in. I just came in by invitation of a application.
Wow, and look where you are today. That's a mind blower to rise all the way to the highest level of the ranking for the state of Pennsylvania. In my head, I'm thinking this gentleman, Mr. Malcolm Harris, must have done a tremendous amount of work and have gained a tremendous amount of respect over the years from your brother Masons to be elevated like that, to be entrusted to do this job, which is heavy.
Yes, it's not an easy road to get to this point. However, what I would say is that it does take a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication and commitment. And I have been committed to being a better Mason, being a better person, a better man. And I've also tried to, you know, instill that in people that I've come in contact with, not only Masons, but people in general. You know, what we say is that there should be something different that people see in you versus someone else once you've come in and you've gone through the 3 degrees of Masonry. And Paul, I know you had similar experience.
I grew up as a minister's son, and we lived in the city of York, Pennsylvania. My father's friends were all seemingly to be Masons. They didn't talk a lot about it, but you saw a lot of the work that they did.
Weren't you impressed too by the way they looked, the dress, the attire? Didn't that draw you as well?
It did. It really did, because they weren't people that stood back on the sidelines. They were always involved.
Right.
The dress is nice, but the work meant more, and they did more. But that's what got me started. I wanted to be like them, which created a lot of discipline within myself, because there's a criteria. Everyone just can't join the Masonic order because of your actions.
Okay.
But
now let's talk about some of the work, because I know you do a lot of work, but what comes to mind for me most off of the top of my head is I know the Masons do feeding programs, particularly during the holidays, but not just during the holidays. But I know I've been out there in past years where you were handing out turkeys right out in front of your headquarters on North Broad Street. And so that goes on. But there's many other things that you do as well. You have adopted a school?
Yes, we have adopted a school program where we have asked the lodges in each district, in each area, to adopt a school and to be, you know, very progressive in that school and helping with whatever they can. I often caution lodges that don't go in and say, what do you need? Ask them, you know, what can I do? Because sometimes it'd be more than what you can honestly provide. The Adopt a School program is very interesting because of the fact that if we do it right, young people come in through that process. When they become of age, they'll look around and want to know, where are those Masons? You know, I want to be a Mason. Prince Hall Elementary School is one school is named after our founders, the only school in the United States or anywhere else that's named after Prince Hall. And we do a lot of work there. We visit that school regularly.
Oh, great.
You know, but I want to talk about something that I've started doing this administration. I use an acronym, SOCIAL. Serving our community in active leadership. And the reason why I did that is because over the 30-some years that I've been in Prince Hall Masonry, I've looked around to see what is it that people can really identify Prince Hall Masons with. And I have chosen a charity of choice, which is sickle cell. And I've partnered with the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America with the Philadelphia and Delaware chapter.
Yes.
And also in Erie and in Harrisburg and also in Pittsburgh, we have also set up a partnership with them to bring more education and recognition to this disease of sickle cell. And because of that, I've said that I would use this position, my name, my face, whatever I can to bring more you know, information and bring more awareness to sickle cell anemia.
Excellent, and that's such an important cause. For those who do not know, sickle cell anemia disease is an illness that largely attracts people who are African American and other peoples of color, but as well people who are European American can contract a sickle cell. It is a trait that it can carry in a family, and so my understanding is nowadays when people have babies, when their babies are delivered, they're automatically, for the most part, I believe at most hospitals, they're automatically tested for the sickle cell trait just to make for sure that everything is okay.
I think that that's what they're doing now, but I think what I'm more concerned about is not the youth or the young. I'm concerned about those that after they get through that process, the young adults.
Yes.
A lot of times there's not as much available to them for their problem as well, because they still suffer with the disease.
Yes.
And in some cases, I've even had some tell me that they've gone to the hospital for pain medication because of the pain.
It's a problem.
And it's a
First
problem.
thing people think is you're a drug addict.
They're drug addict or they're drug seeking. And I think that's unfair when somebody's suffering from a disease. But what we're trying to do is bring more awareness to that and find more facilities that will recognize that when they come in and treat them with respect and understand that they do have a problem and they are in pain.
Yes.
You know, I think that's something that we all have to be aware of, and not just tag somebody or label somebody based on the fact of what you think.
Now, Zamuria Brandon, who is the executive director
Yes.
of the very sickle cell organization you're talking about, I've known her for like 30 years. Okay, well, you've been at Mason for 30 years. I've known this woman for 30 years, knew her husband before he passed with the illness. And she has educated me a lot about it, and I am just thrilled that you've chosen to make this one of the centerpieces of things that the Mason Group will work on to try to help uplift and do more education around.
Absolutely. I am thrilled about it, and it never fails. Whenever I go out and I mention sickle cell, I have people come up to me and express their interest and concern. As a matter of fact, at the Martin Luther King Day of Service, I mentioned it, and one of the brothers' wife came to me and told me that she has the healing properties in her blood, and that if there was a need for her blood, that she would be more than willing to come and give blood for sickle cell.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to continue shining the spotlight on the Prince Hall Masons of Pennsylvania and their history and what they're doing in 2017. So stay along. We'll be back as this program, News You Can Use, continues in a moment.
Father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
I see my friends out there getting waves. It's like, it's hard. It was a surprise to me when they told me I had MS. It's like, you sure?
Well, this is a virtual reality rig, and this is going to allow Steve to see and experience the waves that I ride.
Put that on your head. Whoa.
Take a good look at yourself. Oh, yeah. And turn. Oh, very nice. Check that smooth backside one more time. No, really. Check it. Do you see any changing or suspicious spots? It's your skin, and it's important. If you're a man over 50, you're in the group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the cancer that kills one person every hour. When detected early, skin cancer is highly treatable. Check yourself out and find someone else to help. Learn more about what to look for at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
We are back now as we continue with our first show of the new year 2017. This is News You Can Use, and you know who my first guest is? People who are so very special and near to my heart. I'm talking about the Prince Hall Masons of Pennsylvania. Our Grand Master is here, Malcolm E. Harris, and also with him is Paul Hibner, and I got to get his title right. That's why I keep referring back to my paper, Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, and I'm glad to have the both of you.
Thank you.
If we could just revisit the past for a second, Grand Master, I want to talk about the day you were sworn in. What a special day for Philadelphia history, for Prince Hall Masons history. You all took over the Sheraton Hotel. That's a mighty big place. And everywhere I looked, far and wide, nearby, distance, nothing but black and white suited Prince Hall Masons.
Yes, that was an exciting day for me. And I look back and say, in 1985, when I became a Mason, a Master Mason, I had no idea that I would ascend to the level where I had.
Wow.
And on that day, I had family and friends to come.
Yes.
And I did something that we hadn't done before. After I was sworn in, I then, what we say, called off, and I invited the public in to hear my acceptance speech. And the brothers were so impressed with that because, again, that had not been done before. And I wanted to share that moment with my family, friends, and those who were close to me. And I had that opportunity to thank some people who were very instrumental in my life that had, you know, contributed to me, toward me getting to where I was. And I wanted to give them that honor and that opportunity for them to hear my acceptance speech.
Well, it's amazing. As I sat in that lobby on that day, I watched, again, gentlemen coming in who were obviously Masons, dressed in their suits, many of them with their aprons on. And then I saw Kenny Gamble. Like, oh, isn't that nice? Kenny Gamble came out to support the Masons. Little did I know, he's my brother.
That's right. And Kenny is a Mason, and he's out of Widow Son number 4. And you know, it was so good to have him come and others to come too, to be there. It meant a lot to me. I know that Stan Simpkins wanted to be there, but he was out of the country at the time. And I called him, and he had told me that, you know, he was sorry that he couldn't be there. But just as that was an exciting day for me, it was an exciting day for Paul as well, because he was then installed as the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden. And to be installed as the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden, that's not an easy feat, because in order to be elected and then be installed, you need to get the majority vote of the brothers that's in attendance at the session. And you may have, I think on that day they had, or the day before, they had like about 10 brothers running for that position. And then they would have a runoff for the 2 top vote getters, and Paul happened to be one of the ones that were the top vote getter. And then after the runoff, of course, he became the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden. In order to do that, you really have to be respected among the brothers throughout the whole jurisdiction of Pennsylvania. It's not one particular area. I mean, you have brothers from all over that's voting. So in order for me to even get to where I am, the same process, you know, the brothers have to see some value in who you are as a person and how you carry yourself. Because again, we're representing them.
Yes, absolutely. So now you're working with young people?
I do. One of the committees that I do work with, we call the Children and Health Festival that we have annually in the 3 different areas of the state, the East, the West, and the Central area of Pennsylvania. The Children and Health Festival is to bring children together, but at the same time make them more aware of, or even parents aware of, their health. So we have different doctors that are there for checkups, high blood pressure, diabetes, so on and so on, that we check, and it gives them an opportunity to begin to know themselves. And in the meantime, we also feed them as well and have some recreation there as well.
Essentially, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's the same event but done 3 times in 3 different parts of the state.
That's correct.
Which is a lot of work.
That's
correct.
A
lot of work.
That's correct.
And since Paul has taken over, we partner with the Boys and Girls Clubs in certain areas, and also some of the other Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America. We partner with those other youth organizations because when we're doing that for the community, not for Prince Hall Mason, but for the community. As Prince Hall Masons, we're sponsoring it, but we're bringing in the children from throughout the community. And normally what we like to try to do is get near where the housing projects are, or those places where the children may not have access to the medical facilities or the medical information, and then that way we can provide that. We do the hearing screening. We do we have some there from the dentist to do the tooth, how to properly brush the teeth, and we also get the fire company to come out with their
that's a
trucks
big hit
and all.
every year,
Anything
right?
that the children really get
Yes.
excited about, and then we have games and all. As Paul said, we have games and all. So we're trying to teach them how to have a healthier life.
And that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
A very good thing. Now, some people jokingly say, oh, every time I see the Masons, every time I see you Eastern Stars, y'all trying to sell me a ticket to something. Well, I was taught early on by some civil rights leaders of Philadelphia that freedom ain't free. And that, we have to fuel our own gas tank, so to speak. We can't just wait for government grants and for other people to take care of us. We've got to do for ourselves. So I get it. I get why we do fundraisers and whatnot, so we can turn around and take that money we raise and we're putting it back in the community to make things better for our community. But every now and then, the Masons just do something that's fun because we need to do stuff that's fun.
Yes.
So I understand we've got a Sixers night coming up this year.
Yes.
Okay, tell us.
I've met with the Sixers representatives, and we are scheduling a night out at the Sixers, March the 17th. And hopefully at that time, Ben Simmons will be back playing, and we'll really get to see the team play at its best. But what's exciting about it is that it's like a 2-4, because after the game, they're having Marvin Sapp, a gospel concert.
Great, yeah.
And so we're looking forward to both. We're looking forward to the game, but then we're also looking forward to after the game, of the concert, that we'll be able to enjoy. And again, we're doing that to bring the families out together.
Yes.
As brothers, as Paul and I, we travel a lot. I travel a lot, and I'm away from my family a lot. And so when I became Grand Master, I said, one of the things I'd like to do is to include our families in the things that we do. In November, we had a seminar. Normally, we'll go away to a seminar, but last year when we did the seminar, I decided to do it at a hotel, and we invited the wives and the families to come. And it was really great. They really enjoyed themselves, and they got to see some of the things that we do when we go away.
I heard Mrs. Harris did a dynamite workshop for the ladies.
Yes, she did.
I heard about it. Yeah.
She has experienced, not being a member of the fraternity, and she took an opportunity to talk to some of the other wives that are not involved, and sort of gave them some input, some insight as to what all is involved in her involvement and how she supports me, and that's what she's there for. And it really went over real big. Everybody was really happy with that.
That is excellent. Yeah. So now tell us, before we run out of time, people who are watching the program right now and they're saying, my daddy was, or my grandpa, he was a Mason, and you know what? It's been in my mind a long time. I want to do this. How do people get started? What do they need to do first?
Well, first thing I would like for them to do, we have a website, and it's www.princehall-pa.org. I would suggest that they go to the website and see what information we have on there. I'm happy to say that we're going to be doing some things this year that's going to allow people opportunities to learn more about Prince Hall Masons and also to join. Because we're going to have a open house at 4301 to bring people in. I'm talking with the Grand Matron to open the door so that people who don't have affiliation would be able to come and join. We need to continue to make those opportunities available so that we can grow our organization. And there's a lot of people that I know that might be interested and want to get involved. If they go to that website, there should be a link there where they can express their interest. And I know I asked to put a form up that they can print and fill out and send in to us, and it'll have the information on there. And we've been more than willing to talk to them about Prince Hall Masonry or any of the other houses that's also involved in our organization.
Now, for the young people, is it similar? What would you say to a mother, particularly single moms? Because I was a single mom raising a son, and I wanted him to be the best that he could be. He now is, yay. And I got him signed up in a Rites of Passage program in the Father's Day Rally Committee, which a gentleman by the name of Bilal Qayyum in Philly runs that and all that. So that was my saving grace to help my son have the strong images that I wanted him to have of African-American men, because he's an African-American boy. Well, he was at the time. How do you get the young people in?
Well, we have a youth group with the, for the males, we have the Knights of Pythagoras that we have that they can join, and they really bring them in and start teaching them, or as it were, the rites of passage to becoming a man. And in pursuing that, they get to see us more. They get to mingle, intermingle with us. And then hopefully the desire stays and that they will transition into us. We also have the Ruth Tucker girls that do the same thing on the women's side for the youth. So we have programs for everyone.
Opportunities.
All ages.
So a mother or a father who is watching the show, whether or not they're an Eastern Star or a Mason themselves, but they have interest in their young person being under some positive people, they can reach out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As a matter of fact, we prefer that they reach out, because normally if we get the child, the father and mother probably follow too. You know, again, I think that we have very influential men of good character that's around that we'll spend the time. We do some tutoring. We offer some other programs too. As a matter of fact, we have one program that we're going to start. We call Plant the Seed. It's with one of the youth organizations where we're going to bring young men in, and we're going to teach them about being a young man. We're going to teach them how to be a young man. And it's not about the Mason part of it. It's about the individual as a young man growing up and not having maybe a male role model that's at home or one that they really look up to. So we want to provide that for them again. Again, back to my acronym of social, serving our community and active leadership.
Serving our community. I appreciate both of you for coming. Love and respect. And I'm your cheerleader in the background. Anything I can do to be helpful over the next 12 months, just call on me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grandmaster.
Thank you so much.
And thank you as well.
Thank you.
All righty, that's this edition of News You Can Use here at LaSalle TV. Have a great day, everybody.